I'm a little bit concerned. This isn't going to be a typical sort of video, at least not the sort of thing that you're expecting, because I'm just using this as an excuse to just kind of waffle. We are quickly approaching a state with the channel where I'm not sure what to do. Let me explain. This channel is very much, or at least it's meant to be, a variety channel of sorts. We've got reviews of action figures and toys and Transformers and stuff like that. We've got the character tributes, we've got gaming, we've got podcasts, sort of podcasts. But you'll notice that over the course of the last year, particular ones of these have been getting less and less frequent, most notably podcasts and gaming. And that's mostly because they don't do well. I mean, granted, nothing on the channel does particularly well by YouTube standards. I mean, to do well on this platform, you have to have views in the thousands, in the hundreds of thousands, in the millions, just to exist on a conscious scale, if that makes any sense. You probably get what I'm going at here. And let's face it, stuff on this channel, minuscule views compared to what I would arguably love to get. And that, it does bother me a little bit, because I put in a hell of a lot of work into this. I do. And I just don't see the return. Now, I'm not getting at any viewers, not getting at any of you. This is just me musing over the current state of things. And I think it's just a general problem with the platform in general, at least the way it's gone over the last few years. Let's call it the Mr. Beast effect, because he's the easiest one to critique for this. YouTube nowadays, to be successful on this, you have to have big, extravagant ideas. Once upon a time, if you rewind the clock about 10 years ago, it was very much about the small independent creator and the following that they can gather. You look at people like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, especially gaming YouTubers in particular, because I think the algorithm was more geared toward that sort of thing back a decade ago, where you would build up a channel of yourself. Your personality is what would bring people to view your content. And now, since the rise of people like Mr. Beast and big groups like Sidemen and things like that, it's very much more now about going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and spectacle. And I pissing hate that about YouTube now. I hate that, because people who make content on a smaller scale and kind of have channels that are about them don't seem to do as well as these big untouchables. And I think maybe if I'd started this channel a decade ago, then we would probably be in a greater place than we are now, because we are still a very, 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 very tiny channel. How many years have we been doing this now? I don't know. I've lost track, actually. Let's take a look. According to this, I joined YouTube on November 16th, 2019. Now, the channel hasn't been active in all that time. I don't believe it has. I think that's just my general Google account. Or has it? I don't honestly know. I cannot pinpoint. When was my oldest video? 5 years ago. Well, I suppose I have. Then, where am I going with all of this? To do well on this platform, you need big, bold ideas. And I have ideas for things. I've got a flaming notepad full of ideas. It's just whether I can execute them. The things I want to do are very ambitious, but I'm just not in a position to be able to do them. I would like to create more, quote, live action stuff, more experimental things. I would like eventually to shoot a short film. That'd be interesting, but I don't have the resources to do it. I don't have the manpower to do it. I don't have the time to really dedicate to large scale endeavors. and I'm not really in a position to be able to hire people, because I would love to hire people to maybe edit for me. Because by Joe, depending on the video I make, editing can be a real chore. It can be great. Editing can be great. It can be a lot of fun. If you've made a super funny video, then coming up with jokes in the edit and making it very snappy, cool. But for long form stuff like video games, for example, God, it can be a chore at times. And that does extend to the tribute videos as well. Trying to meticulously stitch them together and then go through long periods of feeling like, oh, this isn't quite working. Like I did with the Sabine video last year. Almost said last week. With that, there was a long time where I was just sat there looking at it and thinking, this isn't working, and I can't find the right piece of music for this. And that's kind of why there hasn't been any work on anything like that this year, just because I haven't had an idea. In terms of content, the channel has primarily been focusing on toy reviews for the past year, because the podcast videos didn't do very well at all. Barely anybody watched them. And shockingly, gameplay, barely anybody watches. So if we have a look at some of the latest reviews, for example, they do, by this channel standards, well. 269 for Cybertron Prime, 458 for Revenge of the Fallen Prime. They do commonly now get into plus 100 views, which, again, it's kind of rubbish, but for this channel, it's decent. RID Megatron 342, Skywarp Animated 237, etc., etc. ROTF Skids, for some reason, is 417. God knows why. But if we compare that to gaming, like The Last of Us, for example, the last big gameplay thing we did, 6, 12. The audience clearly isn't there for gaming, and that's why, despite kind of wanting to do more in the realm of gameplay, like to do, say, the third Tomb Raider game, or I don't know, Jedi Survivor, or things like that. The temptation's always been there, but the numbers are just suggesting it's not worth doing it. And yeah, you can make the argument that running a YouTube channel shouldn't be about numbers and statistics. It should be about you doing what you want to do. But it's always kind of been an ambition of mine to eventually evolve this into something self-sufficient. In an ideal world, I would love to do this full time. But in order to do that, you need to get numbers. And you need the numbers in order to monetize videos and actually start earning a living off it. And we just, quite frankly, nowhere near that. And we're never going to be for like years and years and years at the rate we're going. Now, in terms of review content, I've been focusing on that more than anything else, because by and large, that's the content that does the best, or at least it does the most consistent. Arguably, the tribute videos do the best, but they're only once a year, or in the case of this year, I haven't got one. So they're very rare. So that's why I've been doing toy reviews more than anything else. But we're at a stage now where I kind of don't have anything else in the pipeline with reviews. I had Anthony over a couple of weeks ago. We shot about 8 videos in total, 4 of which were him doing reviews. And then we did 4 kind of like commentaries. Like a couple of years ago, we did a commentary on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So we've done some kind of commentaries on TV show episodes here and there, and they'll be coming out in time. I've still yet to actually properly edit them. I might try and do a quick turnaround on one of them maybe and try and get it out Christmas Day as a kind of a replacement for a Cat Tribute this year. We'll see. But we've got his reviews in the pipeline. They're ready to go, but I kind of want to upload them in the new year, kick off 2025 with his stuff rather than mine, because I don't know how many weeks we've got left in December. I could fart them out to close out 2024, but I just kind of like the notion of getting them out there early 25. Why not? But other than that, there's kind of not really a lot left because I've practically covered all of the figures in my collection now. I've got Energon Unicron to shoot at some point. I've got Legacy Cyberverse Slipstream, which I brought last week. And then for Transformers, that's kind of it. I could maybe do one of the Legends class Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. I could do a couple of Marvel figures that I've yet to cover. And then what? And then I'm out. And that's a problem because, let's face it, that's what the majority of you guys come to this channel for. And so I'm finding myself in a little bit of a creative rut. The channel's called Film Decryptor, and I don't do a lot of film decryption on here, do I? In fact, I practically don't. Makes you wonder why it's called Film Decryptor. And the truth behind that is Film Decryptor was a blog which I created during university. I'll briefly show it. It's primarily me ranting about Doctor Who more than anything else. But we created it during university because one of our modules on there, we had to create a blog, a film review blog, and we had to do weekly reviews. So this still exists if you want to. Actually, if you're passionate about film and TV and you want to contribute to this, it's still open. You can still do it. Drop me an email and let's talk. But that's why the channel is called Film Decryptor. You'll remember, long-term viewers, that the channel was originally called Infinity Productions, but I changed it to Film Decryptor because there are several Infinity Productions on YouTube. The name wasn't original enough to get the channel noticed. There weren't any other Film Decryptors. It was an original term that I came up with, so I thought, okay, let's get our clicks in. let's get us noticed. Let's stand out from the crowd. And, to all intents and purposes, that's worked. But it's not really reflective on what the content of the channel is. And I've mused over the last few years, should I change it to something like Toy Decryptor? Should I open up alternative channels? Have like a Film Decryptor, a Toy Decryptor, I don't know, Food Decryptor or something like that. Just running multiple channels with more appropriate titles. But I've always poo-pooed that because I just don't like the idea of running multiple channels. It's a lot of work. Running one is a lot of work as it is. God knows how some people run multiples. I've lost my point. I kind of want to make maybe a video on the topic of Doctor Who and chronicling the Time War, in a sense, because the Time War is something that interests me in the lore of Doctor Who. But I kind of like to do specifically one about the Eighth Doctor and the War Doctor and following their adventures throughout the Time War as told by Big Finish. That's an idea. And that's kind of more of a film decrypty kind of idea, so that's cool. Maybe post a theory video about could Mace Windu have survived Revenge of the Sith? And should he? That's an idea. And that specific one kind of relates back to the most successful videos on the channel. If we look at the ones that have done the best, it's these, which admittedly are very clickbaity. And that's why I've not done any more of them, because I don't like the concept of clickbait, and it kind of pains me that I had to title them like this and create these kind of clickbaity kind of thumbnails. Only reason I did that was to get the views in. As horrible and as selfish as that sounds, that is the reason. And it's something that a lot of YouTubers do, like it or not. That is kind of how you find success. And I hate this to sound like I'm doing what I do to find a selfish form of success, but I would like something to come of all of this. So they're the most successful ones. The RC Trauma video did well because the voice actress Sumali Montano shouted this out, so that got notoriety because of that. The Doctor Who series ranking one kind of surprises me. I don't really know why that's done as well as it has. The Sabine tribute, the She-Ra tribute, the Bo-Katan tribute. I mean, the Sabine one and the She-Ra one I promoted quite a lot, and I'm legitimately proud of those two. So I'm glad they've done well. Bo-Katan, kind of surprises me a little bit. And then Dr. X from Action Man is the best doing review that is on the channel. And really surprising. On the topic of Big Finish again, I could do a video chronicling the history of the Yoo-Hoo license with regarding them. I could rank the Star Wars films. I'm sure that would get a lot of people watching and generate a lot of discourse. I want to do another rebought all the blank in black. We bought all the cookies in Lincoln. We bought all the chicken nuggets in Leicester. We bought all the brownies in Norwich. I want to do another one of them. Could have done another one of them when Anthony was over a couple of weeks ago, but I got sick again and that just never materialised. And it's more difficult now because before was a more split out over the country than we were previously. And that sucks because that's kind of something that I'd like to do more of. That style of video is very much inspired by Markiplier Makes and Unasanas and Mark's kind of food review things on there. I enjoy that sort of content. It's funny to me. I'd like to make that kind of thing more. It's very much more in the vein of Willany as well, this sort of thing. Guilty pleasure. On the very, very, very ambitious side of things, you're on the jet lag the game. This stuff rocks, but it's kind of like high production value. I mean, not compared to a lot of things, because it's mostly done via vlogging, as the guys do their various games across Europe or wherever they are in the world. But the logistics of doing this are very, like, infinitesimally small for me at the minute. But in an ideal world, that's the sort of thing I'd like to do. I have planned to kind of keep the toy review aspect going, old versus new videos, and I've got ideas and I have shortlisted quite a few comparison videos that I could make, but I'd really need to plan them out and maybe script them and really, really, really think about them. But that's very likely to happen, that sort of thing. So, hey, that's something. I've contemplated maybe doing a bit of Minecraft. Me, Bradley, and Dan do a little bit of Minecraft on the side, but it falls under gaming, and gaming on the channel hasn't done well. So that's kind of deterred me from maybe exploring that avenue. For most of the last year, we've been doing Dungeons and Dragons during our podcast sessions. I've been recording it. I've only edited together like the first 3 episodes, and we're about 27 sessions deep at this point. And I don't know, like, I'm umming and ahhing about putting that out because I just don't know if it would even do well. I know D&D is very, very popular, and like businesses like Critical Role exist because of it, and they are super popular. Would it harm the Film Decryptor channel to put it on? Should it be its own thing? These are things that I just ask myself all the time. And I think a lot of my ramblings here are coming about like I am basing the future on success and will things do well or not, and I'm letting that dictate. And admittedly, I think that is a trap I'm falling into, and that's why I don't like modern YouTube, because you have to think like that. And I don't want to think like that. I want to make things just for the sake of making, to be creative. That's the most passionate thing. That's why people like Markiplier speak to me more than any other YouTube, because I see how passionate he and his peers are about the content they make, and that is the main inspiration for me. The joy of creation, and that's something really special. That's something pure, that pure joy for the creative process, for coming up with an idea, for getting that idea out there. That's awesome, and that's the sort of thing which I wish I could still encapsulate, because I have ideas, I have stories that I tell. Our D&D thing is based in my own original sort of universe of fiction, which I would like to eventually one day get out there and actually make something proper and tangible with. That's the main reason for all of this, really. But I feel so lost in the vacuum of having to make things that are explicitly designed to do well. And that's because of the way that this platform currently is. That's the way that the algorithms drive it. That's the sort of creators that are leading the pack. And I don't like it. And I really, really wish that the status quo was how it was 5, 6 years ago, when the individual creator did well for who they are, for what they could personally bring. And it didn't matter what kind of content you made. People would watch you for you. The idea of making a community is the main, or one of the main things about YouTube that I love. And we just kind of exist in an age on this platform where that's not the main thing anymore. Sucks, but it's true. I don't really want to make this out like I'm just having a moan about not being successful, but I don't know. I've not been in the best mindscape about a lot of this recently. I haven't actually shot any videos myself, bar the fortnight ago when Anthony was around here, for a very long time. And oddly, I've kind of been enjoying not making content because it's gotten to the stage now, quite a lot of it, where it's kind of a chore to do. I haven't been enjoying editing things. Things haven't been motivating enough. And that annoys me. Rewind the clock a year ago, and yeah, I've been pumping out content. You've had things come out almost every week without fail, but that's because I've pre-recorded a lot of stuff and I've had a lot of stuff in the pipeline queue. But again, as I said, we've reached a stage now where that's kind of run dry. And I'm sat here and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Apologies if this has all come across like me whinging about not being successful or anything. It's a nasty trap to fall down into. I guess I'm just lacking the joy of creation at the minute. The fundamental reason for being on here. And it's just making me question what the future of the channel actually looks like. I would like to keep going. I would like to make more experimental, more passionate, more personal things. But that little nagging bugbear of will it actually do well niggles at the back of my mind. And that's the sort of thing that I wish I could excise and not let bother me. I wish that I could be in a situation where I could make content for the sake of making something cool and making something interesting. Not because it's easy to just churn out the same odd shit every week. I don't know. I need an infusion of passion at the minute. Let me know what your thoughts are on the topic. I'll be interested if there is a community here, and I really hope there is, because that's something core that I want to kind of establish a solid community. Let me know what you think. We will approach 2025 together and see whatever it brings. I can't guarantee that there will be content every week the way there has been for the last few years. I can't guarantee explicitly what content will be in the next year because I don't even know myself now. It'll probably just be a case of where I come up with something on the fly and upload it. And maybe that's the best thing to do because that's just spontaneity and the epitome of the joy of creation. Maybe. Anyway, that was my rant for today in lieu of the usual content.